Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into the very architecture of fear. We're going to break down 3 terrifying first-hand accounts to dissect the anatomy of a home invasion scare and really explore that primordial fear of being watched. By tearing apart these real-world events, we can figure out exactly what happens when that comforting boundary between a safe inside and a dangerous outside just completely vanishes. Okay, let's kick things off with a deeply unsettling question that taps into our absolute most primal fears about the spaces we live in. Have you ever looked out a dark window at night and just felt someone looking back at you? You know that immediate, stomach-dropping sensation? That sudden realization that your private sanctuary might not actually be as private as you thought? Section 1. The primal fear of isolation. Let's get right into it. This brings us to a terrifying core concept that we call the breach. Basically, this is the visceral, psychological terror that hits you when the perceived safety of your personal sanctuary is penetrated by some unknown outside threat. It's that horrifying realization that the walls protecting us, well, they might not be as impenetrable as we like to think.
Case 1, Suburban Falsituri.
So, picture this. You've got a 12-year-old left home alone in a totally normal, quiet suburban neighborhood, just hanging out playing James Bond video games. What started as a super fun night of eating Gianni's pizza escalates into a literal fight for survival, and incredibly fast, too. The timeline is crazy. At 7 p.m., it's just a normal pizza order. By 8 p.m., things get weird. Fast forward to 11 p.m., and a stranger is pleading at the front door. And just 30 minutes later, the absolute unthinkable happens. Footsteps inside the house. The whole catalyst for this nightmare was a 30-something delivery driver. He literally looked right past the 12-year-old, scanned the empty house, and asked this deeply chilling question, "You alone here?" I mean, there were no cars in the driveway, and a kid was answering the door alone. This driver, wearing a black trucker's hat and rocking a long beard, just immediately zeroed in on how vulnerable the situation was. And the way things escalate from here is just chillingly methodical. A few hours later, a stranger shows up at the door, feigning helplessness and begging to use a phone. But when the 12-year-old smartly ignores him, the intruder just shifts tactics. He discreetly unlatches the backyard gate and silently breaches an unlocked back sliding window. And all of this is happening while the terrified kid is hiding upstairs on the phone with their mom. Imagine hiding under your parents' bed, clutching a phone for dear life, when suddenly you hear it. The unmistakable, heavy thud of boots just wandering around downstairs. The intruder actually walked right up the stairs, stopped at the locked bedroom door where the kid was hiding, and tried the handle. He even knocked lightly before finally fading back into the dark house just seconds before the police showed up. Case 2. The Smiling Stouper. Now, danger absolutely does not just lurk in busy suburbs. Let's head deep into the back country of North Idaho. A family bought this massive dream home with a theater and a gym, totally thinking they were buying peace and quiet. But really, they bought total isolation. The property backed right up to dense national parkland, and those pitch-black woods ended up providing the absolute perfect cover for someone who just wanted to watch them without being seen. And listen, this intruder wasn't out to steal their TV. This was pure psychological torture. It started one night after a movie, with this deranged, wild-haired man just tapping a knife on their glass-sliding door, flashing a massive smile. Then came this nightly tapping, echoing right underneath their second-floor bedroom for weeks. And eventually, they found fresh, bare footprints in the freezing snow that literally stopped to peer into every single window of the house. After weeks of essentially being hunted in their own home, the homeowner had absolutely had enough. He grabbed his shotgun, marched out onto the second-story deck, flipped on these massive, powerful fog lights, and delivered a stark ultimatum to the man. And the guy was just standing there in the blinding light, still holding his knife, staring back with unblinking eyes and that same terrifying smile. "If you don't leave, I'll put one right through you." The escalation here is wild. The homeowner fired a literal warning shot into the air, right? But the intruder just staggered a bit and kept right on grinning. It actually took unleashing their aggressive family Rottweiler, which the owner described as a black missile, to finally snap the stalker out of his terrifying trance. The dog chased him deep into the tree line, and thankfully, that smiling man was never seen again.
Case 3, The Cabin Squatter. Let's look at our final story.
For a group of college students down in South Carolina, booking a cheap, remote cabin for spring break sounded amazing. Completely off the grid, zero cell service, just a great place to disconnect and blast loud music. But the reality was a whole lot darker. We're talking busted fences, a dirt road where GPS just gave up, and a filthy, foul-smelling cabin swallowed by the heavy, silent darkness of the deep woods. They brushed it off, though, thinking it just added a bit of southern charm. The cabin owner actually gave them a super cryptic warning over the phone right before they arrived. He told them, just don't go wandering too deep into the woods. Some old stuff back there. Now, the students thought he was just messing with them, right? But it perfectly set the stage for what was actually lurking out there in the trees, just waiting for the sun to go down. The sensory horror of this one kicks off at 4:15 a.m. One of the guys wakes up, heart pounding out of his chest to this steady, dull tapping sound on the glass. Not metallic, but the sound of human fingers. He rolls over and looks at the window, only to see a pale, wild-haired, shirtless man pressed right against the glass, staring straight through them with totally unblinking eyes. The very next morning, they find bare footprints circling the entire cabin. Naturally, they lock up tight. But on the second night, despite securing every single window and double-checking the locks, two of them walk into the kitchen at 3:30 a.m., and he was inside. The naked man was standing right there by the fridge, covered head to toe in raw scratches, just slowly swaying back and forth in the pitch black. They absolutely panicked, grabbed whatever makeshift weapons they could find, and slammed on the lights. But the intruder literally vanished, gone. The back door was wide open, but here's the crazy part. Nothing was broken. Nothing was forced. They bolted into the night and later found out from a local deputy that the area had a huge problem with violent squatters. The horrifying truth? That man either had a key or he knew exactly how to slip into a completely locked cabin without making a sound. The fragility of safe spaces. Let's wrap this up. So, what does this all mean for us? Whether you're chilling in a busy suburb, living in a sprawling dream home miles off the grid, or just renting a vacation cabin, the real terror is realizing that your personal sanctuary is incredibly fragile. Across all three of these cases, the illusion of safety was completely shattered by sensory warning signs, a creepy question from a delivery guy, a knife tapping on glass, bare footprints in the snow, and all of it leads directly to that paralyzing psychological terror of the breach. I'm going to leave you with a rather provocative thought to chew on the next time you go around turning off the lights for the night. Next time you lock your doors, are you keeping the world out, or are you locking yourself in with it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes peeled and stay safe out there.